Nice, that sounds like a fun day, Braden. I didn't realize my audio was off. How are you guys doing? Nice. Good to hear. Alright, one more thing. I'll be ready. that's retarded. Oh, nice. What's up, Butcher? Glad to see you here. I'm just finishing up a couple of postings out to the world, and then we're starting. Got one more thing to do. Oh, nice. I'm glad. I'm actually going to start doing a lot more teaching tutorials aside from just doing the live stuff. Seems like people need that a lot more than the entertainment, though. I love the entertainment as well. Come on, stupid fuck. Poland. Dang, what time is it where you're at, Butcher? 4 a.m. Whoo! Crazy. Okay, so we're trying something just a little bit different. Tonight, we're not going to be showing my face. We're going to show... I've got my main camera down right directly in front of me, close to the table, and I've got my webcam overhead. So if the webcam looks super dark, it's because the webcam is a piece of crap, even though it said it was supposed to be good. So, we just got to kind of live with that for now. I want to see... There's supposedly a 4K webcam that is supposed to be pretty good at 1080p, so I'm hoping to get that maybe sometime soonish. It's on my list of wishes. But aside from that, we are going to try out just a couple of things and see if this is a better view for everybody. Okay, so today we're doing oil painting. I hope everybody's really excited. I know I am. I love the oil weathering process. It's something that I just picked up, and I'm just running totally crazy with it right now. It has made my weathering tremendously easier. I can't even tell you how cool everything looks with weathering with oils. The only thing that sucks is it takes a while to dry. So we've got to take it in small stages. So I'm just preparing some mineral spirits right now. I use Artist... Man, that's close. Use the upper camera. Artist Mineral Spirits. This is odorless paint thinner, so it has no smell, which is amazing, especially in small spaces. So that's what we're going to use for thinning and mixing. I use 2 little containers. One is for just dipping the brush in, and one is for cleaning out the brush. So that's something to pay close attention to, is that you want to have 2 cups. Otherwise, you're going to get 1 cup really dirty, and you want to be able to keep your brush clean the entire time. Okay. So I will be doing a full-on tutorial on how to actually choose your colors, but these are just inexpensive oil paints. There are some really, really awesome oil paints that you can get for modeling, but I do not have them yet, so we're just going to use the cheap stuff, and it works just fine. So there's no reason for you not to use oil paints, because you can pick up a set for like 10 or 15 bucks. So, for basic toning, which is what we're going to do first, this is just to adjust the tones of the model itself. This is where all of this dramatic modulation gets toned down, and it looks a lot more realistic, okay? We're going to use crimson. You can use crimson or magenta, a dark green, a little bit darker yellow, white, blue, black, and burnt umber. And those are the three colors that get applied to this green to make the green look awesome, okay? And I know I'm super close, so I'm trying to separate stuff out for you. If you want to see the palette, it's going to be in the small view the whole night. So you don't need a whole lot of oil. It goes a long way. You need paint thinner, just regular paint thinner. For something like this, I would go to your local craft store and get their cheapest odorless paint thinner, or your regular hardware store and get odorless paint thinner. I think it's an enamel thinner or something like that. It's just the generic. You cannot use acrylic because it is not a water-based paint. But you do use acrylic for your base colors. That's where model making gets really, really interesting. You're mixing different kinds of paint to get all of these cool effects because they don't mix with each other. So for example, all of the base colors of the tank are done in acrylic. And then I've sealed that with a satin varnish, and that satin varnish has a nice texture to it. Now that it's sealed and the decals are applied, I can go back with oil paints now, and I can do detail work, and the oils are not going to mix with the acrylics, which is really, really cool, so you don't mess up all that paint work that you did before. Then I could go back on top of all the oils with acrylics. I could go on top of it with enamels. I can go on top of it with lacquer. And as long as I'm sealing in between, everything's fine. And if you don't seal, you could still go on top of it with acrylic and it'd be fine. It's just amazing stuff. So I don't know if anybody has seen this process online or if anybody has seen stuff on Instagram or anything, but basically we're going to take a little bit of paint and we're going to get some thinner, and I'm actually going to take this off, and we're just going to start on the side right here. So we don't want to saturate the surface, but we want to add some thinner to the surface. Then I'm just going to evenly cover the surface with some white, and we're just going to do this with all the colors. Now, because the Fury tank is so dark, we're going to make sure that we have a decent amount of dark in here, because that dust layer, which is that lighter color that you can see in reference shots, which, by the way, if you'd like all of the reference shots from a museum, from the museum that actually holds the Fury replica, the one that was actually used in the movie, if you go to my Patreon page, which is just Patreon/Modeler Mentor, for the lower subscription tier, which I believe is $5 a month, that gives you access to all of the reference materials for every single project I do. And that's quite a bit of research for a lot of people, so that can come in handy. So if you're in need of that, just hop over there. But that tank is very, very dark. It's not the normal color that a Sherman tank is. So that's why this looks a little bit different. So you see, every single time I change colors, I go back into that thinner. And you see I didn't use a whole lot of red. We can always add a little bit to it later. Blue is a great color to mix with green, because it makes that green richer. Well, it's not just that. For the movie, they wanted a certain thematic feel. So it was not painted in olive drab. It was a very, very, very dark green. And I don't know that for my personal taste, just in doing one, I want to go that dark. I may style it up just a little bit, but generally speaking, that's what it was. Okay, so now we've got our colors on. And you have to think in terms of the way that the weather would wear on this tank. So you've got horizontal surfaces and vertical surfaces. So this is a vertical surface, so we're going to start by blending this up and down. We're just going to go through here and just spread this around. And to start blending everything in. Always up and down. And remember, you can always go back with another color later on. If you feel like that's too dark, bring some darkness around. It always looks messy to begin with, and it always just blends in and fades in. If we start getting dry, dip your brush in the fluid and then pat it dry so that it's mostly dry before you go back. If you go too wet, then everything just starts pooling and it gets really, really muddy. That's the first thing that usually happens, and that's exactly the first thing that I did when I first tried this method. Was my brush was too wet. And we're going to end up wiping off that decal too. We want it to be a little bit dirty, but not too much. Remember, this is just to adjust the tones of the actual tank. This is not a dust layer. This is not a mud layer. I missed what you said before, Kappa. Oh, by the way, guys, any of you guys who got a chance to see the very first, the Airbrushing 101 video, there's going to be a number 2 at the end of the week. So look for that. That'll be the actual painting airbrush part. It seems like there's a lot of people who are new or unfamiliar with painting with Vallejo and other model colors, which is what I do. So that's what I'll be teaching. I think it's pretty easy to paint with enamels, but not so much the oils or the acrylics. The glass in the bottom right is a tip jar. So if you go to the description, then it's got a link that can take you to where you can help support me. And what it'll do is it'll actually show when people give tips. It's pretty cool. It's just one of those cool things that you can do for live streaming. Yep, that's what it is. So if anybody subscribes while the stream is going on, it's going to give out a cool alert. I hope to be able to do a lot of stuff. I'm just waiting for us to get enough people. We'll be able to do loyalty and giveaways. It's no worries, Braden. That's why it's technically free, so that you can still enjoy it. Alright, so you can see we've got that one blended pretty well, and we just have some nice color variation going on. And some of this is going to get covered up in dirt and dust and all that kind of stuff, but we just want to make sure that these color tones are broken up. So let's move to an upper surface, and I apologize for there being such a glare, but that's the thing about gloss. So again, we'll start with our white color. And then we got our burnt umber. Oop. Looks like I just lost a piece of brass. So I'll come back and fix that off camera. That's weird. That thing just like literally fell apart. No worries. That's what super glue's for. Whoops. Alright. So knowing what happened before, it seemed like the black was pretty heavy, which we do want, but not. I don't want to blend as much, so we're just not going to use it quite as much as we did before. Got some blues in there for richness. Yellow is another important one for greens because that's what gives you the lighter color of green. Blue is the darker richness. Yellow is the lighter. You know, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to be displayed. I was thinking of doing it sitting at that crossroads with all the dead Germans around it. Or the Nazis. The dead Nazis. I apologize to anybody that's German. I'm German. With that track broken, sitting in the mud. You know, I think that would be a really cool scene. Finally, we are adding some green. Okay. Mix. And blend. Okay, so for blending surfaces that are horizontal, instead of doing striped, you're going to do it in a random swirling effect. Because age and time pools, it doesn't run off in vertical lines on horizontal surfaces. How am I adding the mud? I'm going to use AK Interactive mud material. That'll be a really fun process. It's a pigment and plaster based tool. Alright, so this spot right here is getting a little bright. So that's where you pull it off. This is one of the really, really good things about working with oil. I did the same thing when I was your age, Braden. This is all World War II. Loved going to half-price books and picking up just old World War II history books and stuff like that, and just learning about it. Believe me, you'll still have a life after you're done. I think as you get older, you go through stages where you want to study lots of stuff, and then stages where you don't. Oh, I think you'll always love to read. That's for sure. I still love to read. I don't read as much as I used to. I used to read a ton when I was in high school. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to doing a plane on the next live session. That P-38. Or the next live project, rather, not the next session. We're going to be on like a couple more sessions of this before we finish it up. Okay, so we've got that vertical place. You can see that it's just got that nice, dusty, just kind of aged look to that paint, and that's exactly what we're going for. And now back to the next piece. We're just going to do one panel at a time. And you'll see as I go, I'll adjust how I do things, just based on how the paint's treating things. Always dipping in to the thinner and then wiping it off on a paper towel. Oh, and one really good trick, or a hack, I guess you would call it, for paper towels and things to help keep your work surface clean and things that you need to be able to blot and stuff like that, start keeping the napkins when you go to fast food restaurants. They're perfect for this type of stuff. So I just have a stack of napkins. And that's what I use for airbrush cleaning, wiping up spills, like absolutely anything. Sorry, I just realized that was almost out of frame. So yeah, once I'm ready to start spreading the oils around, I switch to the clean cup so that I'm not mixing this with dirty water or dirty paint thinner. And again, this is in a random motion. We're just trying to model and blend. See, these grates are a little bit harder to work with because they're so dimensional. So we might have to add more green and spread that around, and I'm thinning it a little bit more so that I can move it around. Now, we gotta pick it up. So right here I'm just wiping up some green because it's a little bit too green for my taste. I think that's the spot we're going to end up going back over later on. So on this spot, because we've got a lot of dimensional pieces, I'm paying close attention to where the shadows actually fall, and I'm adding black in those spots, because it'll look better as it runs down. And the yellow needs to go at the highlight area, so it's going to stay up on top. The red is very faint. We used it, man, spilling that stuff. We used it too much in the last one. Green is a good neutral color, obviously. are blue. Let's clean up. Are you talking to me, Brayden? Are you talking about me and painting Brad Pitt? War Daddy? I don't know. He's expensive. The only company that did a good job on the character was a company called Bravo 6. And just the Brad Pitt character alone is $26. And then it's $40 a piece for 2 other sets. That'll get you all 5 figures. So it's about $100 to get all of them. I would love to. But this show is still in its infancy, so I don't have the financial backing to be able to afford to spend $200 or $300 on a kit just to do one kit. Oh, no. If he doesn't look exactly like him, or like not supposed to be like him, then I don't want to put him on here. Brayden selling for me. I appreciate it, man. No, we're just getting started. I mean, this is only the first month. I'm just happy that you guys are here watching. Believe me, we've got a whole lineup of kits that I already have ready and waiting to go. Those little extras and stuff are really cool, but they're not needed, you know? Good. Well, I mean, I'm not going anywhere. It's not like if I don't make oogles of money on this that I'm going to leave. This is something I love doing. I know I've mentioned it on a couple of other streams, but thanks, man. But we will be doing, the P38 Lightning is going to be the next live project, and I've got some upgrade kits for that, and I'm thinking about doing a giveaway for that one. So some lucky person will be able to walk away with that kit and its extras, which would be awesome. And then after that, I've got a 1/350 scale Pearl Harbor ship, which is also amazing. And then I've got some medieval figures. I've got a fantasy diorama that I'm thinking about possibly doing later on. I've got a absolutely amazing, humongous Wild West stagecoach. So I mean, there's a ton that we can do, and obviously we'll be putting airplanes and tanks in the mix, because I know that that's what everybody really likes to see. But I think it's cool to see all the more unique models as well. See, look at that. How cool is that looking? A nice streaking. Just fantastic, and it's so easy. I mean, it's just a method. You just get in there and you blend everything together. It's just a matter of knowing what the colors you need to put. So we're just going to move on to the next set of panels. And you see, I don't use all the panels, don't do all the panels at the same time as far as putting that oil on, because you don't want it to start setting. Does that make sense? Because even though it takes forever to dry, it will still kind of set. No, I didn't know it went mobile. One of my best friends, or actually my best friend, plays World of Warships all the time. I think every day. So that's awesome. I just picked up Star Wars Battlefront 2. And I don't play games very much, but I really wanted to play the Star Wars game. And there was a really good deal going online, so I was able to pick it up for 25 bucks. And it doesn't have all the extras and stuff, but still, I'm like I like to play single player stuff, so I want to go through the campaign and just kind of enjoy it. So I am really looking forward to that. I might start the download on that when this stream is done, so that I can play after we're done with our weekly streams. And I do that airbrush video. Life is a little bit busier now. Does this thinner you use scratch off the base color? No, it does not. I wouldn't say that you have to be gentle. Like I'm using a round, cheap acrylic brush, so it's a softer brush. But I do have a varnish over the paint. Okay, so once you put your acrylics down and those dried, please do put a varnish down, because that will lock that in, and then the enamels won't attack that acrylic varnish. Or the oils won't attack the acrylic varnish, sorry. That's one of the cool things about this process, is that you're protecting the lower layer. And then you could go back on top of this with acrylics, and the oil is protected once it's dry. It just takes forever and a day to dry. Really, for something like this, the process that we're doing, because it's so thinned down, it's going to take about 24 hours to dry, which is why, like, we're at 9:50, we've got 10 minutes left technically in the stream, but I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of this color tone process on the whole model before we get off stream, so that then this whole thing can sit and dry, and then we move on to the next step tomorrow, which will be doing the tone process for this, and the tone process for all the wheels, and then Wednesday we'll start actually doing weathering, which is going to be like the dust and the mud and stuff like that. But we've got to let it dry in between every time, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of the schedule for this week, is my plan. Oh yeah, I never heard the story on that. Real quick, is it canceled for snow or for other reasons? Oh, we already got green on there. Snow. Cool. Here in Texas, we have had like 3 different opportunities for it to snow and cancel everything up in Dallas. And it has destroyed like southern Texas, and it has missed the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex every single time. I'm waiting for some ice so that we can have a full day. If there's a snow day, you better believe there'll be some model making going on. So again, we're on a horizontal surface, so it is a random process. And even though you're not going to see anything in here, you might see some cracks. So I make sure that I weather everything. Dang. If you guys want to hear about the modulation process, I know there's some people on this stream that might not have watched the last live stream from last week where we did all the highlights and stuff like that, and the reason why I did that. That is all available in the live stream from last Wednesday when we did some awesome painting. And if you're interested in purchasing an airbrush or wanting to learn the airbrush, episode 1 of my airbrush videos, which goes over choosing an airbrush, how to clean one, and keep it clean, and how to prevent clogs or clean a clog. That is already available. And then number 2, which will be actually the painting with acrylics airbrush video, will be up at the end of the week. And I'll be doing that video in between doing live videos. Cool, thanks Butcher. Thanks for coming on. That's really, really awesome of you. Have a great night. Alright, right now I'm just kind of looking at both sides and seeing what I can do to match them. So really getting in there and blending that down because I put such a light set of colors on there. Looks like we're going to need to add a little bit of brown. So I'm going to go through here real quick, very haphazardly, and pull some paint off. And we're going to grab some brown, dot, 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 dot. And again, the only reason I'm doing this is just because I'm trying to get a decently close tone to what's going on over there. I know that two sides of the tank could be different, but it's unlikely that they're going to be very different. And that's another thing to note, is that in situations like this, maybe if you can work decently quickly, decently quickly, that you can do both of these sides at the same time. So that they are even. My bad. I gotta get used to being really close now. Alright, we're gonna leave that for now. Perfectly in frame now. See, all you gotta do is follow along, Braden. And if you don't have any oil paints, don't try to save up to give me anything. Go get you some oil paints. These are just cheap store hobby oil paints. Nothing special about them. I know that you can do some really cool things with some special oils, and we'll talk about that at some point. But for now, this is just using the cheap stuff. Oh yeah, that's right. You did say it was finished. Hey, you can always pull it out and do some oil work on it. Remember, this is over all the paint anyway. I know what it's like to have something finished, though. It's really hard to want to try to go back and change anything. Just call it a day, move on, and the next one. Yeah, that is a thing. And I've seen a lot of people like do the tools now, but I'm not a fan of doing that. I'll be doing the tools probably next Monday. We have a lot of tools and things. And that's a whole process in itself. Alright, on to the streaking. So this was completely random, but I think after I go through this real quick, I'm going to put some darker colors towards the middle so that I can push them into the bottom. And it's just a natural way to give me some extra contrast and depth, some shadow depth. That's how I felt through, like, all of my learning, and I still feel that way when I hop onto Instagram or watch, well, I don't think there's anybody that I watch that I don't think I could be as good as, but I see stuff on Facebook and Instagram that's just so good. That's where my inspiration comes from. There are some amazing people out there. But I believe I'll get there, and I think you will too, Braden. let's add a little bit of black. So I'm going to push this up, and I'm going to go down. So I'm just getting it to spread. Heck yeah, I mean that's all it takes. I mean, I'm not going to lie, like I think a lot of the process when I start a research on a model is I'm looking for other modelers' work. I want to see what they did. That's how I can gauge where to go. We added just a little bit too much black. You watch this though, this is what's awesome. Yes, the Birdcage Tamiya F4U Corsair, which is probably going to be one of my favorite models, is on the list. It will be. I will do that online this year, 100%. What's it called? Okay, I switched to a bigger brush just to remove some of that black. And in the end, what I ended up doing here is probably just making a big mess, and we're going to have to go back and do our color modulation again, because I'm wiping through all of the old stuff, like the cool colors and everything. So I think the best thing is just to go ahead and remove all this. We're going to start over, just on this section. Granted, we already have the dark color on there. There we go. Okay. So we know we don't need as much. So we're just going to be very careful. Oh, another thing to note is I don't use my Kolinsky awesome sable brushes for oil paints, because sometimes you're in a pretty random haphazard manner when you paint with the oils, especially for this process. I don't want to ruin those brushes. That is the only reason. If ever you put this, you're doing it like this and you know that the paint is decently dryish as you're moving it, and you feel like there's too much, you can always just bring that brush right down to your napkin and wipe it off while you're just doing this first push. And then you can start blending right away. Oh yeah, there you go. C-47 would be cool. Yeah, if you want a like a benchmark on exactly, this is exactly what you do with green. Now it's going to be a little bit different with like tan and stuff, but only because it's a different color. So you have different predominant colors. Like you don't use as much blue or green because obviously those colors are not present. You can get away with more magenta and red. There is a specific formula. Heh, nice. Just cleaning up that decal. Okay, so we got that one done. Let's do these vertical surfaces real quick before we move to the back. Dude, I almost forgot to put decals on it before I started the stream tonight. I was in a mad rush to get the decals on. I was like, oh my gosh, how could I possibly forget that I have to put the decals on before I start weathering? I'm an idiot. And then I realized that the upgrade kit that I bought did not have the Fury decal, so I still have to put the Fury word on by hand, which, I mean, I guess I'm not horrible at trying to match it by hand, but with a paintbrush, it's been a while. So I'll have to do that. So it'll be interesting. But I hear you, decals are easy to forget. And I've been doing Star Wars models for so long, the past few months before starting to do this streaming, that I'm not used to having to put decals on. Have I ever encountered a missing part? Like missing part like in the kit? Or like what happened to us our first time streaming Kappa where I lost that hook. No, not really. Can't say that I have. I guess I've been lucky because I hear that it happens a lot. Or more often than I realized. I have noticed that the Tamiya kit has a bunch of parts that, like, I have no idea what they go to. But I'm not missing any parts. Yeah, dropping the parts and losing them is the worst. That's what I don't like. I'm not a fan. Alright. So that worked out pretty dang good. Got some random bits of green stuck back there that are a little bit bright, but altogether pretty decent. Sorry, I just wanted to run through that a little bit. See, I feel like this area needs some more work. There's always parts to work on more. It's like the thing. Oh yeah, okay. So I totally forgot. I had talked to Kappa about this back when we had first started, that I wanted to figure out a way, especially during longer streams, because that will happen eventually, to be able to have an intermission where you guys can show off your work on my stream. So I will look up how to do that this week. I can't say that I'll start it this week, but maybe next week. I'll pick a day that's a longer stream day or something like that, or I'll just say, hey, this is the longer stream day. Just depending on how much work there is to do in one session, because with oils it's hard to tell sometimes. And we'll show off people's stuff. And if you want me to critique it, I can say, hey, you know, you could do this, or we could do this, or we could just enjoy them however you want to do it. But I'll figure out how to do that. I'm not going to have it where, obviously, you guys have to pay anything or anything stupid like that. I may do it through my email list on my website, though, so that way I can send you a link. I think might be how it has to work. So it sends you a Dropbox link or something, or my Drive link. But I don't use my newsletter for anything right now, so you won't get spammed. If anything I would ever use it for would be giveaways. Yeah, this could be anything, because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I do a lot of different other hobby stuff, too, like 3D printing. My day job is in 3D animation. I love doing figure models. So you love rockets, like, show off hobby stuff. I was into drones for a while, and built my own drone. So as long as it's hobby related, I think it goes. But it'll be one of those things where, like, you need to name it, like, your stream name, so that I can say, this is Brayden, or this is Kappa, or whatever, you know? Not just the name of what it is. Because I'll be like, who is this, and what is it? Because there's going to be a lot of military models that don't even know what they are, either. Like, and you tell me what it is. I do not know all the tanks, unfortunately. Yep. Caught myself on that one. Almost off the frame. Oh, Nerf guns? Nice. Man, I don't know what it was. I heard somewhere and then looked it up. Like, there's a ton of stuff that you could do to Nerf guns these days. Like, different modifications and things like that. Like, that's crazy. That never existed when I was a kid. Sweet. Yeah, I'll make sure that that is definitely set up for next week. No black. Is that in focus, or is my hand in focus? Okay, cool. I forgot I had bought the black gloves, and then I forgot to put them on. So we'll try to start that tomorrow. I know that the skin, my skin can cause it to go out of focus, because it's lighter in color. I'm using an old TV as my stream viewing monitor, and it's directly in front of me. And it is so bad, the colors are so off. Like, I still have to constantly glance back at my monitor, my computer monitor, just to make sure that what I'm looking at is real. I didn't know TVs could be this bad. I didn't realize it was that bad just watching TV shows. Oh yeah, you guys should have seen you probably saw the edge of it. Yeah, that was one of the smartest things I did, setting this thing up, because the first few videos I did not have a monitor to see what I was doing. So I'm just blending this a little bit. There was a stroke from doing this portion. Alright, let's see if I can reduce the glare a little bit. Nope. I think the glare is going to get reduced more as I weather, and that gloss gets reduced, because it's still showing through a little bit. So the next step on this guy is to go in and do this weathering down here, and then he just needs to dry, so that we can start doing the next coat of work on this part. So I think, where are we at, 1019? Let's go ahead and do this part down here before we call it a night, so that this whole piece can dry overnight and we don't have to worry about it. Now, a lot of this is going to be covered by mud, so it's not hugely important, but this is part of the process, so. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm using a fluorescent lamp that is hung on a boom. That's the overhead light. And then I got two desk lamps with LED lights in them on the sides. And then I've got a shop light that has an LED in it that's facing me. And then I have some studio lights that I'm not using right now. It's amazing how much light you need to make this stuff look good. A lot more than you need just to work on it, for sure. Oh yeah, for sure. If you ever replace your bulb at Walmart, ask your mom to get you a LED, just one LED lamp bulb. They're inexpensive these days. They're brighter and not hot at all. I should say they can be brighter. That does not look awesome. Must be too much green in that. Alright, so the main thing is just to get this blended in. I think I put a little bit too much green on. Yeah, I've heard of a lot of people that increase the spring tension to make it fire harder. I liked the rifle that Adam Savage did on Tested. That was a pretty cool one. Oh yeah, dude, he's cool. You'd like it. Even though you're never gonna see it, it's still cool to see how the paints blend on such a large flat surface. Sure. Modding Nerf guns, that's a hobby. It's engineering. Like, it's not like anybody can modify a Nerf gun, you know? You gotta have some kind of talent or skill to be able to do that. What happened, Kappa? Uh-oh. That's not good. Oops. There's no way that you can make it fit. Are you off, Braden? Are you setting off? Okay. I'll see you later, man. Yeah, we're almost done here, too. Just finishing up these two last panels. Thanks for joining the stream as always. Thank you for the great conversation. You know, I don't know when I made the choice, and I could be completely wrong, and if anybody's watching this offline, please comment with your opinion on this. But I've stopped buying Revel kits. I don't buy Revel anymore. Like, they seem to be like the only ones available when I was a kid back in the 90s and early 2000s or whatever. But there are too many other good options these days. You know, Tamiya always makes a cheaper version of a airplane. If you want the really good ones, you go with the Trumpeter. You know, there's just a lot of different avenues to go, and I know that it's easily accessible at the hobby store, and maybe that's why. Yeah, it just seems like they're just not made that well. And I think it's because they haven't changed their toolings in so long. To me, maybe. And I could be completely wrong, so don't quote me as speaking the truth here on why, but I just don't think they're as good for the price. And the more that I'm looking at it too, especially for the standpoint of doing videos, like, all of my videos are going to require, like, you got to get some of the extra detail kits and things like that, and sometimes it's better just to buy the $100 kit and get the better kit versus getting the $20 or $30 kit and then having to buy all of these different detail kits for it. So I got to think about it that way too. Yeah, dude, I've never done an Airfix kit because I got out of that part of the hobby for a while, the military stuff, which is why I'm excited to get back into it. But after doing some research over the past couple months as I was thinking about how this venture was going to go, like, Airfix, some of their stuff looks awesome. Yeah, I've always liked Tamiya. Tamiya has always been one of my favorites. That's never really changed. And they've got such a variety. Like, you could pay 30 bucks and get a regular Corsair, or you could spend 100 and you could get the Birdcage, which has every little tiny part that you want. And the Airfix ones, their bigger kits look fantastic as far as detail for the planes. So there's a lot of options out there. I hope that Airfix does well. I've heard some scuttlebutt that they're not doing very well financially, which seems to be a trend in our hobby. And hopefully we all can slowly fix that by being online more, because this is where a lot of our community is. Yeah, they've got some British bombers that are in their 2018 line that I would love to build. And I'm thinking about getting their 148 Stuka dive bomber. Well, on their bigger kits, they have crazy interiors and engines and stuff like that, which is awesome. So I'm just going to liberally mix these and then see what kind of colors I want to add to break it up. Because I think I might have not added enough color. I could be wrong. Again, it is the underside. It's going to be covered in mud. So this whole process is just to make sure that it kind of matches the rest of the kit. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it'd be crazy if you had a bigger size for the C-47. But that's what I'm hoping, is to get some of their 172 bombers. And then maybe some of their 132 warplanes. Last section, which is going to be the exhaust and ventilation and all that stuff. Yeah, that's what impressed me about the Airfix stuff. Their 172 stuff looks phenomenal. And I love that it's 3D scanned and they're doing it the modern way, where they're able to get all this detail. You know, it used to be that all this stuff had to be done by hand. Or just through research and drawing through CAD. And it's much harder to do it that way. This will be a good base for the more intense weathering that'll take place around the rusted exhaust and such. Alright. Let's just go over some touch-up stuff real quick. See, I'm just going to darken some places. And then blend them off. No, we're going to do the turret tomorrow and the wheels. The turret's going to be one of the fun parts. I definitely don't want to miss it, or skip it. We just don't have enough time. I figured it would go a little faster than it did. I was almost thinking that we'd have some downtime, which we don't have any downtime. I know. That's how it always happens, it seems like. Okay. I think we're done for the day. So I know it's all glary. I'll keep it down on the ground. What is causing that glare? Is it that guy? Hold on. Let's see if it's that guy that's in my face, because I don't think it matters. So you can see those brush strokes as we go across the gloss. See, that paint is just completely broken up all the paint. It's blended all those highlights. And now when we go back through and start doing the real weathering with all the dust and the dirt and the grime and the chipping and all that kind of stuff, it just looks so much more realistic. And the texture is just crazy cool. Yeah, let's see if we can put our shiny glossy turret against the first layer. See what that looks like. See, isn't that cool? But anyway, that's it. So tomorrow we'll move on to the turret and the wheels and get all those nice and colored up. And then after that, I think I'll have to look and see what's going to be the next step. Thanks, man. I love being here. I love doing it. And if any of you guys are watching the stream that are not live, please like, subscribe, please comment on what you like and don't like. Add something to the great conversation, and I will see you guys tomorrow.